didn't model. You didn't model yourself in this behaviour. So I guess, like I said, maybe I don't know, maybe what's the terminology of Pollyanna, where I'm always looking for the good thing. But like I said, I seem to battle this thing about brothers this and brothers that. You say some brothers, yeah, I hear that, you know. And it's those brothers that we got to give a zero tolerance.
And you see, Shakes, take your point further. That's why I'm wondering, how much of this is based on the fact of just simply that because we're black men, it's seen as so strange. How much of this is culturally based? Right? Is it because our manhood must be perceived differently to anybody else? And because the image that is placed on us in the media of having our getting women impregnated and leaving them. So when one of us decides to do what any man ought to really do, if we know what man means, why it seems to be so strange? Is that the issue? Or is it simply that we're doing what we're supposed to do? Is it because we're black men why it seems so strange? And we're perceived as being worthless?
I think for me, you hit the nail on the head. I'm not gonna lie, it is like, you know, you said you're a single, but I'm like, wow, yeah, you're right. I'm like, yeah, wow, because we got the other perception, you know, where sort of sexual predators, you know, we're fertile, we're big field Negroes, you know. We're gonna impregnate a woman from across the building, you know. Now we're changing this masculinity to kind of embrace and nurture. Like, you know, when you had this circle group and you talked about the father group, they're gonna laugh. Like, I'm not going, I don't want to be with a bunch of guys talking about what fatherhood. Nah. I'd rather talk to my friend. But as you're talking,
ain't that the same thing?
It is the same thing. But as it's discussed, I'm actually can see where you're coming. I'm thinking, maybe I might go to this thing now. You know?
So it's education then in a very broad sense, not just in terms of academia, but in everything that we do. We're actually leading by example and educating our children. Is that what we're looking at here? A wider discussion on the understanding of education. We're actually changing the paradigm, creating a new narrative.
Yeah, I love that.
In my mind, there are obviously out of that one statement, there are several issues. Single parent families is not just a black thing. That's one issue.
Definitely, yeah.
But on the other hand, when we're talking about the ethnic part of it, it is a cultural issue, and I'm sure we could talk for days about how that has affected us as a people. We know that any behavior or past behavior has been administered to us, taught to us, set into our mindset. If we're talking about changing that perspective, then this is where the discussion needs to lead. And when we're talking about the education, that also has to follow. Everything has its place and has to be dealt with in a timely kind of manner. If we're talking about minutes or days or years, we as people, as our people, we have to undo a great injustice. I can't put a time on that, but we can only, those of us that are conscious have to lead by example.
Can we be fathers without a spiritual base? Is a spiritual base necessary? I don't mean religious. Is a spiritual base necessary? Maybe.
I think for you to be a good enough father, very possibly yes. I look at the decisions that I make, and I go with my conscience. And what is my conscience? It surely comes from my spiritual base, and it's the way it's hard because doing the work I do, I try to advise men to do that, but then sometimes I'm working with a man who doesn't have that spiritual base, so he hasn't got that conscience.
You're not talking about me, are you?
No,
it's not personal. Just a general statement.
So he hasn't got that conscience. And so I then have to find another way of explaining what I want to explain. So for example, there are a set of guys that I could talk to and I could say, well, when's the last time you raved? Last week. Did you buy champagne? Yeah. When's the last time you saw your son?
Yes.
When's the last time you gave his mum some money?
Yes.
And I can get him like that.
Mhm.
Another man that might not quite get him because he hasn't got that
Mm.
spiritual base. So one of what I do then, how I get around that when I'm talking to men is then what I try to tell him is that parents are first teachers. We're the first teachers that our children will have, and we're probably the most influential teachers they'll have. With that, I then get onto discipline, and not just discipline, but life. Any interaction you have with your child
Yes.
should be based around teaching. Okay? Discipline, disciples, teachers. So anything you do with your child must be based around teaching. So if you're going to beat your child for not coming home on time,
Explain why.
then what is the learning? Is there some learning in that? And what is the learning? If it doesn't quite make sense, then what I'm saying to you, well, maybe we need to look at something different to get that learning, that message across. So we've all probably been told, don't run across the road as children. Was it really explicitly broken down to us? I don't know. But I know that I need to break that down to my son, and part of that is, well, if you run across the road, you may miss time, the car that's coming.
Education again, a wider lesson.
You may trip up
Okay.
in the middle of the road.
Yes.
So I'm giving him an understanding as opposed to just an instruction, which is what a lot of us have had. We've had a lot of instructions given to us without explanation. Don't ask me no question.
Yes.
Just do as I say, not as I do.
Yes.
And my philosophy with parents is do as I do as I say, and as I do. So if you want to do something that you don't want your child to do, then don't let them see it. Don't let them hear it. Because you need to do as you want them to do as well.
Yes.
My mom used to say to me, if you're running across the street and your two legs broke out, nobody run back to me. Okay. I've been trying.
That would be pretty difficult.
Yes.
Broken legs. It'll be difficult.
Well, the thing is, as you mentioned
Jamaican
about
proverb.
what your mother, indeed, what your mother mentioned. Now, you mentioned mother. It reminds me, therefore, of a point we raised earlier on about the energy, the female energy. Now, biology tells us about XY chromosome. How important is it, do you feel, for us to tap into that female energy side of ourselves, that feminine energy, in order to be complete men? I'll put it another way. I believe, I'm trying to be objective as I chair this discussion, but allow me to interject here.
Yeah.
I don't want to be too objective. For me to be a man, as an African man, living in the West, having evolved out of Jamaica, I think that the only way that I can truly be the man that I'm ordained to be is by tapping into the female side of me. That whole balance of the male-female, the XY chromosome. Or there's an organization I know of called Osero Set, and within that title in and of itself gives me the balance that I need to be able to proceed as a man. Do you think it's necessary for us to tap into that female side of ourselves, being warriors and nurturers, for example?
Okay. Is that what you mean by the female?
Yeah, you know, in terms of as a principle, not trying to be women, but as an energy field, being nurturers and warriors, for example.
I mean, it was something that you, what David said earlier about not replacing the mother, but having the mothers, you know, someone there.
Yes.
And I grew up without a mum.
Without a mum.
Yeah. I lost my mum.
How'd that make you
about
feel?
2. When I was 2, so in the beginning it was like it's the norm, you know. But then I'd see like my friend's mum, I'd see the reaction, and then for a moment
and so on.
there was something there. It was like, that's what you mean, because it was this unconditional love. So you know, my dad was still, you know, it was old school, where you know he provide. Maybe someone said, "Oh, we'll put food there." You know, make my job not to make sure you go to jail, but to put food. So all this other nurturing. I mean, I know my older sister tried, but you know, she was like 4 years, 5 years older.
She wasn't the mother.
You were listening, were you?
She wasn't a woman.
You think you were a mum?
Yeah, I know. It was one of those.
Not my dad.
One of those. So I mean, I think that I do feel that energy was missing, and I know sometimes in relationships I felt sometimes I could be a little bit cold, you know, like some things didn't really affect me. I'm like, I always just felt that's life, you know. Someone say, "Oh, your cousin passed away, you got no bye-bye." just didn't really, and I'd see people crying, I think maybe I better cry, I guess that's the done thing.
Learned behavior.
But you know, there was a part of emotion of me where it was kind of cut off.
Yes.
You know, and then it's only when I've just been going on my kind of spiritual journey or my personal development, and I'm reading stuff about being in touch with yourself, being in touch with your feelings, being honest, being open, and how that helps. Like, you know, we never really say I love you. You know, even my sister, I'm very close to. I find it difficult to say, hey, yeah, I love you. You know, it just feels. I find it weird up to now. You know, like 37, I'm the youngest, but and I'm trying to overcome that. And the best I could do is put 3x in the text. You know,
that's I love you.
Yeah, exactly. So. I think, you know, what you said, what you've done, I think that's a wonderful thing, because I could tell you, yeah, growing up I didn't think there was anything, do you know what I'm saying, but after you do see it, you know, and then when you just see, I know what we had missing was this unconditional love, you know, coming in, because, you know, dad is just like, yo, why are you making noise, you know, I sleep late, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
You know, dads do what they, old school dads do what they.
He's doing what he was taught. He's doing what he was taught. So you know, when you talk about men like that, like I would talk about my dad, what he didn't do. I don't hold it against him. Because that was his journey. They didn't know any better. So
no, for sure. I remember there was a woman that stayed with us for a while. And boy, life was different. That year was the sweet.
How was it different? How was it different?
Listen, you know,
meals.
we never used to eat on like together. Yeah, on a table on a Sunday. You know, we tried. Like the kids just like pump me hard. Let's go watch TV.
Yeah.
You know, who's rushing to sit on first, get the best spot. So when we come, I remember having this table, and some of my friends that used to talk about the Sunday dinner. I was like, oh, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It
was novelty.
It felt great, yeah. It felt great. So even though we weren't even watching TV, but just to have someone cooking, and then there was food on the table, make sure you eat that, you gotta get this, and the food was good. It was my dad's cooking that. You know, so that's not off. I know it's 3 or 4 days, that's still eating it there. So, you know, we got presents as well. You could ask my dad, you know, he worked in the back temple. You could ask my dad, I want to save the system, master system. And I was like, yeah, no problem, man, here's some money. And, you know, we'd just be like, wow, this is amazing. This is totally amazing.
I just want to pick up on this thing about I love you.
Yes.
Now, I grew up and I didn't get that from my parents at all, and it's not something I say all the time. But, you know, I don't feel as though we should have to, I'd rather feel it than hear it. Because there's no point saying, I love you, after every phone call, love you, and you're treating people like crap. It don't make no sense. I'd rather feel it than hear it, quite frankly. And my children, you know, I don't say I love you because I never grew up like that. So it's different. With a partner, then I'll say it. But I'd rather feel it, and I'll make sure my children feel it. And I think the presence of it is more important than the words, because sometimes it can be just words. So, and I feel as though this is very much like a Western way, the movie way of saying, love you, love you, love you, love you, love you. Let us feel it rather than just hear it. That's what I think. I think that's more of a TV thing.
Let's have some balance.
Soap opera business.
Let's have some balance on this.
Yeah, I mean, in many languages, but let's talk about the British language. There are impact words,
Yes.
and love is one of them. And when I suggest the use of it, it's not to overuse it. It's to use it when appropriate. So while you can show it and feel it, it's nice to cap it off with "I love you." That comes back to. I just want to go back to the original question about the X and Y chromosome, and it was a bit ambiguous the way you addressed it, because do we not all have X and Y chromosome? So tapping into the female side, is that a physical thing or a mental thing you're talking? I mean, I talk with my hands all the time. I don't cross my legs, I've been told, like men like this.
I'm quite chop your 10.
You got your good company,
right? Or, you know, but again.
But then again, I'm probably the metro man or the 21st century man or new age. Yeah, exactly. But I've always been this way.
Yes.
And I can remember going to America in 1972 and seeing more black people in one day than I'd seen in my whole life in England.
Where did you grow up then? Where?
I grew up here.
London?
I grew up in London. I was a latchkey kid,
Oh yeah, yeah.
single
Can
parent.
you explain what a latchkey kid was?
Before
Do you understand
even the
that?
terminology,
Yeah.
I used to, at 6 years old, used to walk around with my door key tied around my neck because my mother worked at the Heinz factory.
6 years.
Oh, but a latch key was actually, the key was on a piece of string inside the latch or the letterbox.
Well, I had
And-
mine around.
I know,
my
but
neck.
the terminology latch key comes from you actually go inside the letterbox, pull up a piece of string
Yeah.
with a key on it.
Yeah.
Because parents were out working, and the children would come home by themselves, so they put the key in the latch on a piece of string. That's where the term latch key came
Thank
from.
you.
So yeah, well, that was only happened for about a year because then I went to a children's home for 10 years. So I don't know what influences caused me and my character to be quite feminine. It has caused me lots of problems or questions brought to me about my character and my body language. I'm quite comfortable with it, but I'm just saying, growing up, it has always been an issue for some people.
Did you get bullied at school?
I've never been bullied, I'm always athletic, top. I was swimming when black people couldn't swim.
So you couldn't swim.
Black people can't swim.
Actually, the first black person I ever saw swim was Daley Thompson.
You know, so I never had an issue with my manhood or anything like that. It's always been directed at me because people were insecure about me, perhaps. But the idea that we should practice or tap into more about our feminine wiles, I think that a lot of us do it without even knowing. One thing I've always taught my kids, especially my boy child, is that he needs to be able to cook, clean, and look after himself. When he has a mate, a partner, a female partner, if he so chooses, he should never rely on her to do these things for him. And I've always instilled that in him.
Because I've raised my children since my son was 7 months old and my daughter was 2 years old. I've raised them as a single parent for most of their lives.
Yes.
And I did everything for them: change their nappy, wash, cook, clean, did everything. I mean, now my son's 13, my daughter's 16. I'm like, I ain't doing it no more. I've shown you all your lives how to take care of yourselves, and if I keep on doing everything for you, you ain't gonna learn. And this is me. This is my educating. Because educating ain't just in school. I'm educating life skills. Because we're talking about fathers and education, our role.
Yes.
Our role is also to teach life skills. And it's not just about A, B, and C in school. And I teach them a life skill on how to take care of yourself. You want to go to university, you go and cook, go and clean, you're going to iron. My son was ironing his clothes from the age of 4 or 5 years old. Tidying up his room. I'll show him how to do it. And the thing though, when you
All the education, yeah.
life skills. The thing is, alright, when he was like 3 years old, he used to tidy up his room, he had his shoes in a straight line. And if you walk into his room and keep the shoes over there, he goes, no, and he put them back in a straight line. Now his room's like, it's all over the place now. He's just kind of lost the plot. but you know,
He knows, and he's got that.
He knows.
now he can't be bothered.
That one day he will get back.
It'll come back to him.
No, I'm just saying,
It's a good thing because one day it will come back to him.
Yeah.
When he's an adult, and,
Yeah.
you know, it will come back. So that's the good thing.
That's what my dad was talking about. That's
Yeah,
what
exactly.
my mum was talking about.
Exactly.
It comes back.
Yeah.
It comes back around.
It does, but
Full
right
circle.
now, at the moment, I'm not doing any more cooking, any more cleaning, because quite frankly, I'm out and about doing my nabs thing and whatever. I'm looking for a full-time job now, because I took 10 years off. I was a fully qualified chef, so I could cook anyway. But I took 10 years out to take care of them as a single parent. And I've shown them how to cook and clean, and do all that kind of things. Now I'm saying I'm not doing it anymore.
Yes.
You have to start, because the best way to learn is to do it yourselves. You can talk till you're blue in the face, but at some point, you have to do it to actually get the experience of it. And right now, I'm not doing the more cleaning, because they're the ones that are making the mess. I'm not coming down and clean up your mess. You put your chips on the floor. Why should I come back and clean it? Clean up after yourselves. These are basic life skills.
Yes.
I mean,
Jakes, as we
listen,
start to wrap up.
that's the best piece of advice because my dad, when he first became a widower, he was trying to do everything, and then this old Jamaican lady, much to our change, said to him, "Well, why are you running around with them? Get them to do some stuff. Get them to do shopping.
Yes.
Curse it up to this day. But you know, it actually made us because we did all that. We cooked, we cleaned, you know, whatever. We know how to run a household. You know, 10, 11. I was cooking stuff. My siblings would go to work. I remember looking in a cookbook, looking at to make toad in a hole. You know, just make roast. But you know, it really developed me as a character. So when I was learning to live by myself, it was easy. You know, I went to university, and you're so right about the experimentation. You know, because they will learn different things, different recipes. So that is totally a good way for them.
Brothers, listen. We have to continue this discussion. We really do.
We do.
As we wrap up just now, are there any closing thoughts? You know, we've covered the whole importance of spirituality in relationships, tapping into the nurturing qualities within us, right? We've looked at our roles as men, the historical context, the cultural context, leading by example, the importance of education, not just in terms of academia, but certainly by our examples. As we wrap up this part of our discussion, and know that we have to keep in touch, right? So how can we get hold of each other in terms of websites or Facebook or whatever? And just any closing words as we wrap up this part of our discussion. Starting with me, the founder.
Yeah, my name is Nia Imara. I'm the founder of the National Association of Black Supplementary Schools, and you can keep in touch with NABS. The website is the 3 W's, NABSS.org.uk. The email address is info@nabss.org.uk. My phone number is 07958 348 558. So catch me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter.
Okay, so I'm David Mullins, the founder of Father Figure. You can check the website out. All the W's, fatherfigure.org.uk. On Facebook, we are Father Figure, one word, 4 children. On Twitter, we are F Figure. And all contact details are on the website. So if you need to get in touch, you can do so.
Thanks, David. I'm Malik Mohammed, motivational speaker and published author of Empower Yourself to Succeed. Yeah, just here strategically based, of course. Catch it live. Go
for it.
Indeed. No, it's all right. Probably butterfly. My website is be-motivated.com. That's be-motiv, the number 8, the letter D.com. Facebook, it's malik.mohammed9237. And of course, Skype, malik.mohammed8. Also on LinkedIn, and my Twitter address is Thought Exchange.
Thanks for including me on this session. My name is Godfrey Edwards, and I'm the founder of the Flood Group Project. I'm also a social entrepreneur. Look out for my blog at tfgp.org, soon to be up and online in the next few months. And that's it for me.
Okay, now it's my closing thought.